Okay. I'm sorry about the noise. Maybe it's not as loud for you guys, but
It's not as bad.
I like don't have anything planned. I just wanted this to be something sort of quick and just to like really keep us accountable. Like you guys have obviously, started to see some success this month, and I want to make sure that you guys keep seeing success for the rest of the month. There are a few of you who have already hit Success Club 10, which is amazing. But sometimes what can happen is we get to like either the Success Club 5 or Success Club 10, and we're like, oh, awesome, got that done. And then you just and then you just kind of like let things slide. And this is what makes a difference between someone becoming really successful in the business and someone who just stays kind of like hitting Success Club most months, but never seeing any big growth with income or their team. What is going to make just that little bit of difference in seeing huge success is that you keep going. You don't take your foot off the gas. And it seems obvious, like that's just such an obvious like thing, but it can be really easy to just say like, oh, sweet. Now I've got the rest of the month to just kind of like do whatever. I don't have to stress anymore, but never let that pressure off of yourself. This is now like, if you have hit your goals, I encourage you to keep going. Like, don't just assume, that now you've got this in the bag. You don't know who is going to return a challenge pack or who is going to like, whatever. Oh my God, it's so distracting. So basically you just got to keep going. This is the time now, if you have hit your Success Club goals, now is the time to really focus on building some awesome relationships without having that pressure attached to it, because it can sometimes like take the fun out of this business when you're talking to people and you're just kind of in your head like, crap, I just want them to buy a challenge pack, and you push them along and you rush the relationship. And this is the time where you can build some awesome, solid relationships, because really you don't care if they purchase or not. You've already hit your goal. So that takes the pressure out of the conversation and you can build some amazing relationships. Also, now's the time to start thinking about growing your team. If you ever want to see big success with this, you have to build your team. You do. You can only grow so far on commission. You'll burn yourself out trying to make a really decent income with commission alone. Where the magic happens is when you start to build a team. Even if that means it's discount coaches in the beginning, who are just getting Shakeology monthly, that is going to start to build up your residual income and your weekly paycheck, basically. So obviously now my income isn't always from commission. It's a huge part of it is all based on like team cycle volume, matching bonuses, all that kind of stuff. And that's because I've been consistently growing a team. So I have always made it like a goal, and I've always hit that goal to at least bring on 4 new coaches a month. Whether that is business building or discount coaches. In the beginning, it was always discount coaches. And every once in a while, I would get a business building coach out of it. But for the most part, it was just discount coaches. Now I make it a point to bring in like 5 business building coaches a month. But that's just because I've been progressing and I've expanded my network so much that I'm having more and more conversations. So now is your time to build your team. You should be signing coaches every single month. If you are in this to change your life, to do anything, you need to be adding coaches to your team. Hey, Robin.
Hi.
Hi. I'm just kind of chatting. I am recording, just if you wanted to go back and watch the beginning, but
yeah, my phone died. Sorry, I'll mute.
Yeah, that's okay. I have some construction going on in my background, so it's very loud here. So I just wanted to, like, I think it was really helpful when you guys all talked about like what's working for you this month. Some people had like just some good ideas, like Robin had some awesome ideas. It all comes down to consistency, and it all comes down to how often are you asking people. I'll use Robin as an example because I always am watching her stories. In her Instagram stories, she is like inviting multiple times a day. It's not that she's just inviting like once a week or twice a week. Like she's literally inviting like multiple times a day. And that's what we sort of need to be doing, especially if you're doing stories. If you're doing stories, which I think everybody is. Abby, I was just checking out your stories. You're doing awesome. Coming along. Start inviting through your stories. It's totally okay to be doing. You're not doing this long, drawn out like call to action in your stories. You're just saying like, who wants to do this with me? Join me. It's so much fun. Could you benefit from this? Like just constantly inviting. The more and more times people hear something, it's almost like being brainwashed. They're going to eventually be like, oh, well, maybe I should. Like if you keep seeing the same commercial over and over and over again, or you hear this same person talk about something, you're just naturally going to want to then go check it out because you just keep hearing about it. That's just the way humans work. So we have to be constantly inviting. And same with on our Facebook page or your Instagram page, you need to be doing tons of call to actions about both coaching and our challenge group. So I would suggest you look at how often you're doing calls to action because maybe you're not doing it enough. I think that we are hesitant to constantly be inviting through our posts, but you should be inviting through the majority of your posts. Again, it doesn't have to be this huge, like, I'm looking for 5 women. Like I do that, but I'm not doing that every single day. But I am, like I invited this morning in one of my posts, and it was just like, who else would be interested in learning more about these awesome workouts? Like just sort of subtle calls to action, and then also do those bigger calls to action. So make sure you go and you check your social media and just make sure you're inviting enough. Because if you're not inviting enough, you're probably not going to see the results you want. And if you are not growing your team like you want to grow your team, then you need to start talking about the coaching opportunity more. You're never going to grow a team unless you start posting about it constantly. So, do you guys have anything to add or to say, or does anybody have any big struggles right now?
I just have to say, go ahead, Robin. Okay, so I've been like not hitting Success Club for like a few months. Like I was so good at hitting Success Club, and then I really just the last few months I wasn't hitting it, and honestly it was because I wasn't working on my own journey. So now that I've like fully committed to this like 80 days, I have so many people that are now liking my stuff and that I can reach out to and talk to about this program. So that's been like a huge thing for me, is being proof of the product, because I wasn't. Yeah, I was working out, but my nutrition was like not on track at all.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't pretend any of this stuff. Like you can't. People will see through it. Your conversations won't even be authentic. But if you, like, I'm assuming everybody is like loving these workouts right now. And that's why you guys have Success Club points on the board. Because I know you guys are doing the program. I know you're seeing results, and I know you love it. And so do your audience does. They know that too, right? It's all about being passionate and being excited and believing in something. And people are going to naturally want to know more about what you're doing. For sure. Robin, are you still there? We lost her. Does anybody else have anything like that they're feeling like stuck with? Like,
I think I'm struggling with where to channel my energy, like as far as Insta stories and then building engagement on my like page. Just feeling like I'm being pulled in a lot of different directions. Mm-hmm. I need to get back into being more consistent with my Insta stories, because I was seeing people respond to the polls, but then a lot of people never wrote me back. Like, I don't know if that happens to y'all, but like a lot of people will say, yes, they want to hear about it, and I'll message them and then I don't hear
or anything. Or they'll say, oh, I accidentally pressed that. Or I don't know. I'm having a lot of people show interest in coaching or my accountability group, and then not like following up after I reach out. And I know that's just kind of part of it, but
yeah, it is part of it. Like I did a call to action on Sunday night when I was in LA, and it was like my bikini transformation thing. And I had several comments on there, and they were all cold market people. Like they were all people that have come in from my ads just in the month of January. So I was really excited about that. Like I was like, oh my gosh, it's working. Only one person responded to my message. And then once I sent her some information, I haven't heard anything more from her. So, I mean, I could get frustrated about that, but I just know that that's human nature. Yeah. They're interested. And I know they're still watching, but they just don't know enough about me yet. They're not like trusting me enough yet. They don't know enough about me yet. So I know they're going to keep watching, and I have no doubt that I'll start to have more conversations with them in the coming weeks and months. So that's just human nature. There's no way of really getting around that at all.
So as far as like, because I was doing Insta Week with True, like kind of watching that stuff. Here, what do you want? Here, chew on that. And I caught myself kind of like drifting, like, ooh, maybe I need to like look into InstaZoom and like start getting better with my stories. And then it was like, oh, but I really need to work on my like page training and all of that. So I think you and I probably both know, like, I probably need to just get through the training and start doing ads, and then maybe look into the Insta story stuff more. Like, what do you think? Like, just still be consistent with stories, but not worry so much about the graphics and all that stuff? Or
yeah, I mean, it's totally up to you. I personally can't be taking on too many new things. Like, I wanted to figure out my business page, and I wanted to figure out the ads, and I wanted to get deep into the training with Social Team Builder before I could even think about like doing any Instagram stuff. So once I felt comfortable with my like page and I could see the momentum happening there, I started doing stories again, and I'm enjoying the stories. It's not stressing me out. I'm not ready to start up InstaZoom at all. I mean, I did do it, and it was I just didn't know how to set it up properly, or maybe that's just InstaZoom, but the people that I brought in were like just time wasted. Like, it was just ridiculous, right? Like, not my market at all, not anybody's market. If I'm going to be honest. So that's not something where I want to put my effort, but I am spending a little bit of time doing my Insta stories a day, but I also really enjoy it. And I do think that it's taken the pressure off of me creating posts like multiple times a day, right? I feel pretty good if I've only posted 2 to 3 times on my business page, because I know that I've got my stories out there, and that is what is drawing people in, and that's just what's making me more like relatable in real life. I am not spending a ton of time on my Insta stories. My Insta stories are not like Jatana Jackson's. I don't have time for that shit. I don't have time to like edit my Insta stories and add music. Like, occasionally I'll use Hype Tight, but I'm personally not spending time on my Insta stories. I mean, they're there and then they're gone. So I just can't, I don't have that time. Like, I know how much time in a day I have, and to me, it's not worth it. I think Insta stories can be just as effective if they're just like real life and not all fancy schmancy. I mean, if you enjoy that and you've got the time, awesome, but I don't.
Megan, do you have a big following on Instagram?
Probably not.
Like,
don't even know.
So are you just getting, like, because I didn't know how to increase my Instagram following either, and I was like thinking about the InstaZoom thing, but then that whole thing stressed me out too. Like, it was just way too much. So The one thing that I just did this week was I'm running a giveaway on my Instagram. So I'm giving away the Goddess Revolution book and they have to follow my Instagram and then tag 3 people. So because I didn't know how to get more followers on Instagram, to get more people to see my stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, like, I could, like, I'm still tagging locations and doing hashtags, but if those people don't start following you, right?
Yeah.
Then they're not always going to see your story. They'll just see that one story that you've put that hashtag. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
has that been,
I was just
like, how's it been going?
well, I just started doing that this week. So I have gained a few followers, I guess. Yeah, I've gained more followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll start seeing my stories. But I do have to say that I talked to somebody back when I first started coaching, like April 2016. She finally just reached out to me this week from my Insta stories. So I've sent this girl messages many times, many invites to challenge groups, whatever. And she finally responded. So that was my first real, like, thing through Insta stories. So it is working.
Yeah, it does work. I mean, I think InstaZood does work. Like Michelle has pretty good luck with InstaZood. I'm just not ready to take that on because I want my Facebook page to really be built up, and I see the value in that, and I enjoy that a lot more than Instagram. So you got to kind of figure out where you want to spend the majority of your time and focus on that specifically. And it's totally up to you. I mean, there's tons of ways that you can find people on Instagram, like just searching hashtags and going and following some people. It goes back to like who was it that was saying that? I just watched like an Instagram thing. I'm assuming you guys all did too. Anyways, like just finding hashtags that are your hashtags, like for your market, searching them and looking at the people who are using those hashtags, following them. And then do you have the Cleaner app? So it's like it's an app.
I don't really know how to use it. Like, is it simple?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have it, but
yeah. So every
is it called IG Clean?
I think it's just called Cleaner. So it will then clean up. Like you can start following all these people throughout the week. Like say follow like 10 people a day. Just don't spend a ton of time, but just search hashtags like, mom life or whatever, like just some hashtags. Follow some people that look like your people. And then at the end of the week, use Cleaner and it'll stop following. It'll like stop following the people who aren't following you so that you're not wasting time.
So it does that automatically? Like you set that up and it automatically unfollows the people that are not following you. Yeah. Yeah, I need to get that.
Robin says her phone
following
isn't
way
charging.
More people. Yeah.
What does Robin say?
She said my phone isn't charged enough to hold the Zoom call.
Oh, shoot.
I'm recording.
Yeah, I'm recording. Yeah, and you don't want to be following more people than you have followers.
Which I'm guilty of right now.
Yeah, so you need to use Cleaner. And I was guilty of that too. I actually, when I was in LA, because we were on the plane for so flipping long on the runway, I cleaned up my whole Instagram and I went from like 1,700 people I was following down to like 50 because I started Instagram just with coaching like 3 months ago. So I think I have 700 people that follow me. But I was following like 1,700 people because of InstaZood. That's what InstaZood did, but they weren't following me. So there's no sense in following people who aren't going to follow you. But you can at least try, like start following people, start liking their stuff. And then by the end of the week, if they haven't started to follow you, use Cleaner. Yeah. It's just figuring out like where you want to be. For me, my like page is so much more of a priority than Instagram is, because I enjoy it a lot more, and I just, that's just where I want to be. So it all sort of depends.
Okay. I think that, like you said, you felt comfortable with where you were at with your like page and your engagement. So you felt like you could sort of shift and kind of multitask with the Insta stories and all of that. And so I think I'm needing to put on the blinders a bit, because I'm seeing everyone else going with the other direction. And like, I want to somewhat dabble in that, but not let it, I think right now I'm just like, oh, I need to focus and not get distracted.
Yeah.
So.
And I tried Insta stories. This was like my third round of trying them. Like, I did it the first time, and then I stopped. And then I was like, okay, I'll start it again. And then I started, and I still was like, this does not feel right. It's feeling like a chore. I don't enjoy it. I don't get it. And then this time around, I'm like, okay, it's now just part of my day doing it. But because it's not taking away from my business either. I'm having enough conversations happening on my business page. And so you just have to figure out what's going to work for you. There's no right or wrong reason, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing is I've been posting like the same thing. Is that, I mean, I will post on Instagram, I will save it, and then I will post it on Facebook.
Yep. That's what I do too.
Okay. Sometimes I'll do different, because sometimes I wish they were more like the same. Like, there's some things you can do on Instagram that you can't do on Facebook, and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah. I post on Facebook first, and then I copy and paste it over to Instagram.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's perfect. Yeah. And there's that checklist that Michelle had posted. It's like I think it's like super valuable for everyone to kind of look at once a week even. It's just kind of like a like checklist of your business, and like if you go and look at your Facebook page or your Instagram page, can you see that you've done all these things in the last week or so? Like, do you guys know what I'm talking about? I think I posted it before. Anyways,
I might have missed that.
I'll put it into our thread. It's like, it's a good thing, and I think it's something that we need to be reminded of all the time, to just make sure that our storefront is portraying what we want it to portray. And yeah. So anybody else got anything? No? Are you guys going to be on the call tonight? It's at...
We're leaving for Gatlinburg in the morning, so.
Oh, for what?
It's an in-law trip, so.
Oh. Yeah, there's the 4 of us that were at leadership on the weekend. We're just going to kind of talk about our like takeaways basically. So I'm going to touch on what Melanie Mitro talked all about. It's like organizing, kind of like having a plan in place. And it just like spoke to me so much. And I think, I hope it'll help a lot of people. So.
How did you earn that trip?
So you have to be 1-star qualifying at the minimum.
Okay.
By the end of the year. So by December, you had to have hit 1-star qualifying, and then you get this trip. And I mean, for one, you guys can all 100% get there by the end of the year if you want it and if you work for it. But it's all paid for. The hotel is all paid for. Like the hotel that we stayed in, it was right downtown LA. And oh my gosh, it was like so nice. Like it was so nice. It was amazing. The whole experience was amazing. And just like being with like Melanie Mitro and Bonnie and like Carl and Autumn, like all those people, it was so like you were just treated so well because it was a really small group of people. And it was just amazing. And I've never been to LA and probably never would have gone. So
Oh my gosh.
it was awesome.
Was the weather nice?
Yeah, it's a little bit cooler there right now because like it's their winter.
Right.
But it was like, I don't know, like probably 70s or so. It got kind of cooler as the week went on, but yeah, it was like it wasn't raining or anything. It was sunny, warm. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that would be like productive to talk about. Sorry, I'm like, oh my gosh. Let me look. I'm looking at my little list. Yeah, I think, it always comes down to we know what we need to do, sort of. It's just doing it. And I know for me, like personally, just what is wrong? Here, eat a Cheerio. I know for me personally, just going out of town for me always messes me up. Like I just read your post. Like your post popped up about feeling a little overwhelmed, like your to-do list. And I think that people with, like, I have anxiety and like I struggle with getting overwhelmed and sort of I freeze and it's like, okay, what do I do? And that's where I have to set the timer and say, okay, for 20 minutes, I'm going to do follow-ups or whatever. But I think just all of us diving more into personal development and making sure that like I'm getting up early in the morning so that time you have time to write good posts and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I like having these calls because it's sort of like a powwow where we can sort of refocus. And so I think we're all struggling with the same things. It's just,
yeah. And like you said, you know what to do. I mean, this business isn't difficult, but the reason why there's very, like in the grand scheme of things, there's very few successful people is because they're not willing to put in the work that's needed without any results, right? Like it's hard showing up every single day, working hard, being consistent, being super dedicated, but not seeing immediate results. Like trust me, I can appreciate that so much. Like my first year and a half to 2 years in the business, I was like working so hard at this and like making hardly anything, right? But I knew that if I kept doing what I was doing, like I just kept saying to myself, if I keep doing what I'm doing, I know this is going to pay off big time. But not many people are willing to do that. They're just not. They need instant gratification. They need to see instant success, and they don't have that belief that this is going to be something big for them. And so they stop, or they just kind of like half-ass it most of the time. And you can't half-ass it. You can't. It's just, you're wasting your time if you just want to half-ass it. Unless you just want it to be a hobby, that's fine. You can half-ass it all you want. But if you really want to like change your life, you gotta work hard and be consistent and just be really diligent about what you do with your time and how the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I gotta go get my kids unless you guys have anything else. Okay, well, I am available to do these calls anytime, just nice and quick and just kind of like brainstorm, and just, it's kind of nice to be able to like get on calls like these with people that are doing the work that's needed, right? It doesn't really serve any point in doing these quick little powwows with the coaches who haven't even hit Success Club yet, right? Because they haven't done what they need to do. So, congrats to you guys for doing what you need to do. So
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
well, you guys have a good afternoon.
You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.